How you guys doing? Good, man. So glad to be with you. If this is your first time and you're new, my name is Petey. I'm the lead pastor here, and so pumped to have you with us. You picked a great weekend to start running with us because we're going to start a new teaching series today. Sometimes we'll have like themes that we'll go through, like a kind of a common theme behind the messages, and sometimes we'll just like let it roll and we'll do little one-offs here and there. But like you jumped into the beginning of a teaching series that we're calling Stay Till the End. All right, stay to the end. And the idea behind this, we're going to go through Luke chapter 21. And in Luke 21, Jesus is going to teach on something kind of weird sounding. Like once we get into it, you're like, man, like Jesus is talking like about the end of the world and like what it's going to be like when the end comes. But really what he's talking about is not as much apocalyptic and like Walking Dead kind of stuff. Really what he's talking about is how to stay to the end, how to develop the kind of grit and perseverance and endurance that you need to stay to the end. And the truth is we all need it. Like we all have areas of our lives, even if you don't believe in Jesus yet, there are areas of all of our lives where we need greater perseverance. We need greater endurance. We need greater grit so that we stay to the end and we achieve and we fulfill what we've wanted these lives to be all along. The word grit is kind of like a cultural word right now that you hear a lot. But I love this definition of grit. And when you hear it, you're going to be like, oh, no, I for sure need that. Like no matter how often you've been in church, no matter what your life looks like, you know you need more of this. Grit is this. Grit is passion and perseverance for long-term and meaningful goals. It is the ability to persist in something that you feel passionate about and persevere when you face obstacles. This kind of passion is not about intense emotions or infatuation. When you have this kind of passion, you can stay committed to a task or a cause that may be difficult or even boring at times. And y'all know like some of the most important things of our lives, most important areas of our lives at times are difficult and boring. And so we're going to need to develop some grit, and the good thing is that Jesus has a lot to say about it. But like grit is something we all know we need. None of us really know how to get it. But there's one specific people group that has next to no grit, I've discovered. One group of people that has no grit, and it's children. Parents in the house, you know this is true. There is no amount of grit. There is no mental toughness. It's just like, man, kids, when things go wrong, they just melt down. Like I learned this past summer the hard way. I took my family to the promised land of family vacations. I took them to Disney World, all right? How many Disney freaks we have in the house? You a bunch of freaks? No, I'm kidding. I'm right there with you. But like for real, like, and so my family learned something about me on this Disney vacation. They learned that I am a tightwad, okay? And so because of my tightwadness, when I saw how much Disney's trying to charge me for this vacation, I said, well, if they want to charge me that, I'm going to show them. I'm going to drive their cost per customer through the roof. I'm going to ride everything and ride it twice. I'm going to just go hard in the paint, man. Like I'm going to go big this week. And so my family didn't know that I've got a different gear. It's called the amusement park gear. And I can throw it in that gear, and I can go nonstop days on end, and I can just go all out. And so by the end of day one at Disney, we rode every ride. We were doing everything. I was living my best life. My family was exhausted. By the end of the trip, they were delirious. It was bad, okay? It was bad. But now one of the last days we were there was the 4th of July. All right? And so 4th of July, I'm thinking, man, this is a chance for me to make one of the greatest family memories ever. We get to see the fireworks at Disney on the 4th of July. But I knew the kids have no grit, so I knew I had a game plan for this. Because my kids are normally in bed by 8 o'clock, fireworks don't start till 10. So I had to figure out a game plan. Now, my plan was very simple. Get to the prime viewing spot 1 hour before fireworks start. Then go and buy as many sugary treats as possible to hop them up. I mean, they're going to be high as a kite off of sugar by the end of this thing, but they'll at least stay awake, and we'll have a great time, and we'll remember the fireworks. And so that was my plan. Now, I started enacting my plan, and I realized quickly that it was flawed. Because 1 hour before the fireworks started, this was what Disney looked like in the prime viewing location. It was a sea of people. I think approximately 3/4 of the world's population was at Disney on this day. And so I got a double stroller, y'all. I can't fit through. I mean, I'm like bumping people. I'm like kicking people. I took a few kids and like picked them up and moved them when their parents weren't looking. I'm trying to just make a spot. And so I finally made a spot and we got it. I'm like, all right, now, mission sugar. Okay? So I go and I buy slushies. I buy ice cream. I bought fudge. I found a donut the size of my daughter's head. And I'm like, eat it, open your mouth, children. Because it's just not going good. And now this next picture is the picture that looks like the perfect family photo at Disney. Go and throw it up there. Like that's right before the fireworks started. And that is a very misleading photo. Okay? Now that looks like the plan worked. The plan did not work. Because in that photo, there are 4 liars and 1 truth teller. Okay? I am lying. I was miserable. I was ready to be done. My wife was lying. She was not happy. She was giving me the look of death. My 2 boys, they were just smiling because someone said, smile, picture time, and they know how to turn it on. And so they turned it on. As soon as this picture ended, they're a crying mess. The only truth teller is my daughter. Go ahead and zoom on her face. She was the only truth teller in the group because that's how everybody was feeling. And I realized at that moment, we are only here for me. Okay, we are not here for anybody else. This is just for me. So we ended up throwing in the towel. The fireworks started, and we watched the fireworks from the bus on the way back to the hotel. Kids. No grit, man. You need some grit. Now, while grit, my kids better not listen to this. They're gonna be so insulted. But while grit would serve you well at Disney, there are way bigger things in life that we need grit for. When it comes to your relationships, your marriage, your friendships, when it comes to your professional life, there are some things that you're going to hope to achieve and accomplish that you are going to be tempted to not stay till the end. There are going to be some things that happen that you're going to have to figure out how to push through, how to get grit, how to develop this perseverance, this endurance to stay to the end in what matters most. And so luckily for us, Jesus is just all kinds of grit. I mean, you ain't going to find anybody grittier than Jesus. And so Jesus has quite a bit to say about it. So let's jump in. Luke chapter 21, verse 1. Y'all ready? Y'all did better than every other service. I want you to know that. Every other service is like, woo. I'm like trying to grow up from like 1 person that says they're ready to 4. Y'all are there. It's great. I'm convinced it's because you've had breakfast. They haven't had breakfast yet. The benefits of 11:45. You get a good breakfast in you. Keep coming. Chapter 21, verse 1. Let's start with it. It says, while Jesus was in the temple, he watched the rich people dropping their gifts in the collection box. Then a poor widow came by, and she dropped in 2 small coins. I tell you the truth, Jesus said, this poor widow has given more than all the rest of them. For they have given a tiny part of their surplus. But she, poor as she is, has given everything she has. Now pause there for a second. This is a passage that I actually thought about skipping over when we first working through the series. Because truth be told, the series stays to the end. Like the content of that doesn't really start till verse 5. So, and this is kind of like a weird point. Like these 4 verses, it's not like Jesus was really referencing this in chapter 20, which we talked about in January. And he doesn't really come back to it. It's like 4 kind of weird, isolated verses here about this instance. But the more I started reading it, the more I was like, man, I think God's really trying to teach me personally something about grit and about perseverance, about how to stay to the end. And I think he wants to teach us something from it as well. But make no mistake about it, this is an odd scene. This is weird. So you have the modern day church, what we would call church, they call temple. And in the back of the room at the temple, they got these offering boxes. Kind of just like in the back of the room, we got offering boxes, okay? Like if you want to know how to give here, check out the website or drop it off in the offering box. But we got them in the back of the room. And so it's very similar. The difference is, I'm not standing in the back of the room, or none of our staff standing in the back of the room going like, so how much are you going to give today? I mean, that's weird. Like Jesus in the back of the room, just like watching people give their offerings. That's crazy. That's crazy. And there had to be some funny moments. Like some dude, because here's the thing. Jesus wasn't a stranger at this point. He was well enough in his ministry. Everyone knew who he was. And so they're going to try, and people are trying to impress him in this moment. There's all these wealthy people that are coming in. Someone dropped that offering in and did a little Sammy Sosa. Like someone did a Tim Tebow kneel. Someone dropped that offering in. It was just, like they're trying so hard to impress Jesus. They're like all in. Like some dude dropped in and was like, plenty more where that came from, Jesus, I promise you. There were some just like dweebs in there that were trying to impress Jesus. And Jesus doesn't say a word about any of them. He like watches these rich people drop their offerings in, and he's like, okay, cool. Then in walks this poor widow, and likely embarrassed about the whole thing, right? She's in there, and her offering in comparison to the rest of the people who've just walked in before her is tiny. It's nothing. It's 2 small coins that she drops in. And you know she probably, and Jesus is watching it. She's probably so embarrassed, so ashamed. She probably dropped it in real quick and just walked away like, please don't notice. But Jesus calls attention to what the rest of the world ignores, always. And in this moment, she drops in these 2 small coins. And Jesus says, all right, hold up. Everybody stop. And she's like, oh no, what have I done? It's like, you all need to see what just happened. He said, this poor widow, that's the only thing we know about her. But like we know nothing, we don't know about her family situation. The only thing we know is that she was a widow and that she was poor. And when you put those 2 factors together in first century, that was a bad combo. I mean, this woman has nothing and no one to care for her. And he says, you need to see this poor widow, you need to see what just happened. Because she just gave more than all the rest of you. And for anybody that thinks that Jesus is like, this nice, quiet, peaceful guy who never offends people, all those rich people that just give in big old offerings are like, excuse me? All the like members of the stewardship committee of the temple were like, I don't think Jesus is familiar with the budget. I don't think he's familiar with the temple mortgage and the temple utilities, because 2 coins is definitely not more than the hundreds of thousands of dollars that was just given, right? And Jesus says, actually, what she has given is more. Because she did not give, and this is such a savage comment. I mean, this is like, get in your bank account, know what you're working with. Like, I'm broadcasting like broad daylight. What's really going on? He goes, these other people gave a tiny part of their surplus. That's a savage comment. That's mean. All those people just gave their offering are like, I think he's coming at me. I think he's offending me. He said they gave a tiny part. But this woman gave all that she has, gave everything. And so in God's eyes, what she gave is actually more. Now, this is such a powerful 4 verses of Scripture. Because from these 4 verses, we learn so much about who God really is and what he's really like. I mean, first and foremost, we learn that contrary to popular belief, God's not after your money. And for some of you guys, that's really good news. Because I mean, come on, we all watch the same TV stuff. We all see the same stuff in the news. We've seen the churches and the preachers out there that are like just trying to get people's money. It's like one of the main skeptical things that people have against the church is like the church is just out to dig in your wallet. This proves way beyond a shadow of a doubt that God is not after your money. If he were, he would have applauded the large amounts given. If he were, he would have said, man, look at these big offerings. Look, think of all the good we're going to get to do with these big offerings. Let's all celebrate it. Let's clap. No. God's not out to get your money. He's not after your money. I'll take it a step further. And this is like, I think, breaking the rule book of what you're supposed to say as a lead pastor. But I'm new to the gig, man, so I can say it in the first few months. God doesn't need your money. And again, I know it's like, I think I'm breaking the rules because we do have bills to pay here. Like there are things that we need. But like legit, God doesn't need your money. He doesn't. I learned this in a really powerful way personally about 4 years ago. The church that I was serving at before, we felt like God was leading us to, we felt convicted that we were supposed to start a campus of our church in downtown Indianapolis. And for us at the time, downtown was very unknown. Like there were a few people from downtown coming up to our church in the suburbs, but mostly downtown was unknown. The only thing we knew about it is that it was super expensive, right? Because downtown Indy is very similar to downtown Colorado Springs. Like there's some people living down there, there's tons of growth, there's tons of new things happening, but no one really knows what it's going to look like. And so the only thing we knew is that it was expensive. And we had the money as a church to do it. It would have been a little risky, but we had the money. And we felt like God was calling us to do it, but we just could not get around it and say yes. We had conversation after conversation, meeting after meeting, praying about it, feeling like we're supposed to, but not sure we could do it. I mean, just like, over and over. And finally, we were like, guys, we got to stop talking about this. We can't get around it. We just got to say no. We got to walk away from it and forget about it. No on 3. 1, 2, 3. No! Right? A week after we had the 1, 2, 3, no meeting. 1 week after, we got an email from a family in the church who had done very well financially and was very, very, very wealthy. And they said, hey, it's weird. God put it on our hearts about a week ago that we were supposed to do something significant in downtown Indy. And I'm not really sure what it is. Do you guys have any ideas of what you think God's leading you to do? Like, guys, I think we're going back in. 1, 2, 3, yes? We there? Yes, we are, right? And so this family felt like God had put it on their hearts, and they enabled us to purchase a facility in downtown Indy, and we started a church with about 100, 150 people, and that church now sees nearly 2,000 people come every single weekend. But it was because of a family's faithfulness and willingness. And I learned then that God does not need your money. Because here's the deal. If God puts it on your heart to give and you say no, guess what? He'll find somebody else. If God puts it on this church's heart to do something and we say no, he'll find another church to do it. He doesn't need our money. He doesn't need us. He can get what he needs to get done. See, God's not after our money. What we learn in this little story is that God's not after our money. He's after our hearts. He's after our hearts. See, God wants to get us to a place where we are just so all in. We're so committed. Like everything we have belongs to his, that we don't care what it takes. We'll give it all. We'll give till it hurts and then some. We'll give till it hurts and then some. We won't stop when it hurts. God, you have our entire hearts. You can have everything. It's all yours. We'll give till it hurts and then some. And that's what this widow did. One of my favorite details about this story that we often pass over. How many coins did she have? 2. She could have just given 1. She could have given 1 and we'd have all been like, wow, what a sacrifice. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. You gave 50% of everything you own. I mean, if any of us in the room right now said, hey, here's the deal. I feel like God's leading me. I'm going to give half of everything I own to the church. I would say, hallelujah, praise the Lord. Let's go make a big difference together. That's amazing. That's sacrificial. That hurts. I mean, she'd have to take that 1 coin she had left and she'd have to stretch that out over some value meals. She'd have to figure out how to how's she going to invest this thing? How's she going to figure out how to turn this into a profit? Like she's going to go do some sports betting, bet on Kentucky basketball in March time. It's a good bet. It's a good bet. Sorry, I got slided a Kentucky reference every once in a while, man. I'm sorry. Sherwin's in the back confident about his Baylor Bears, man. I ain't buying those Baylor Bears. UK basketball all the way, baby. Oh, man, I could preach a whole sermon about John. Someday I'll preach a whole sermon about John Calipari and how he's the greatest coach in all of history and is a God-honoring, God-fearing man, okay? It's 11:45. We can say whatever now, right? She could have gave 1 coin, and everyone would have been like, that's incredible. But she didn't. She gave till it hurt, and then she pushed past it. She said, I'll give it all. I'll sacrifice everything. God, you have all of me. So to the point that she would have to trust God to provide for her next meal. I'll give till it hurts. I'll feel the pain, and then I'll push through it. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're like, wait. I thought this was a message about grit. I thought this was a message about perseverance, not about money. I didn't come to church here about money today. It is a message about grit. And it is a message about perseverance. Because in the areas of our life that matter most, until we learn to push through pain, we will never develop the perseverance necessary to stay to the end. Until we learn how to properly respond to pain, how to view pain, and become the type of people that are so committed, that are so all in the areas of our life that matter most, that we will give till it hurts, and then we will keep going. We will give till it hurts, and then some. Until you get to a place where you can properly interpret pain in your life, you will never develop the endurance and the grit and the character and the perseverance necessary to stay to the end. How many, by show of hands, you ever play the game Red Light, Green Light? Any red light, green light fans in the house? Such a stupid question. What adults are red light, green light fans? But if you haven't done red light, green light, then you should for sure serve in kids ministry, okay? That's proof that you've never served in kids ministry. You should, because red light, green light is like a trick of the trade in kids ministry. Also, if you haven't ever served in kids ministry, I think it's like a requirement for every Christian. You should at some point serve in kids ministry because it teaches you a certain set of survival skills that are necessary in life. All right, you are not ready for the zombie apocalypse until you've survived a room full of 30 fourth graders. All right, you are not ready for this yet. But if you're not familiar with red light, green light, it's very easy. When you run out of Jesus things to talk about in Sunday school, you do red light, green light. It's like the last ditch effort to keep the peace till the adults show up. And what you do is you line all the kids up in the back of the room. You say, all right, you guys are there. You guys are automobiles. I am the traffic officer. I'm going to yell out green light. And when I yell out green light, you run as fast as you can. Then I say red light, you stop. And the goal is to make it from this wall to that wall. Red light, green light. And my favorite thing about red light, green light is how serious the kids take it. Like, it's my absolute favorite. When they actually think that they are motor vehicles, and they actually think you're a traffic cop. Like, they go all in on this. I love it. And now, while it's a silly kids game, it's actually one that we continue to play as we get older. Just looks a little different, all right? We still play adult red light, green light all the time. See, instead of kids lining up on the back wall, the adults line up on the back wall. And instead of an adult yelling out red light, green light, Payne yells out red light, green light. That in the areas of our life that matter most, when things are easy, green light, woo, let's go, run, it's awesome. And then the minute Payne steps into your life, red light, hold up. That's not what I signed up for. I mean, come on, like if you're married, you know this is true. You when you got married and you went on that honeymoon, woo, Jamaica! This is amazing. The early years of marriage, the honeymoon, you're like coming home and you're cooking each other dinner. You learn more culinary skills in the first 6 months of marriage than you've ever had in your life or you ever learn in the future. You rub each other's feet. Like, no one does that anymore. Like, that's not a thing after the honeymoon phase, but it's awesome. Green light, woo! And then one of you loses your job. And the money tightens up. And in-laws. I'll just leave it at that. Mine are in town this weekend. They were in the last service, and I didn't say that. Don't tell them. But like you feel the pain, and you're like, whoa, this is not who I married. This is not what I signed up for. Like the pain, red light. Like, whew, man, you start thinking like, did I marry the wrong person? Like, can we really do this? Like, what if it doesn't get any better? Like, I don't know if I can do this the rest of my life. Like, red light. Professionally, you know, when you first started that job, it was like the job for you. It was like everything you were created to do, and you believe in the values of the organization, and you love your boss, and your coworkers love you, and it's awesome. Green lights! Then 2 years in, you get that first performance review that's like not perfect. You're like, wait a minute, they think I'm not good at what, huh? And you get sideways with a coworker, and you don't know how to fix it, and then your boss is not so awesome anymore, and all of a sudden the pain comes in. You're like, whoa, red light. This is not what I signed up for. This organization is going downhill. There's something wrong because this is crazy. I mean, and honestly, when it comes to your faith, your relationship with God, your involvement in church, it's red light, green light. You get baptized, like those 20 people that got baptized last week, some of them are in the room today. That's an incredible, amazing moment. You come out of that and you're like, I could tackle the world. Everything, like you're getting the warm, fuzzy feelings at church on Sunday. You're singing every song. You're loving it. You're loving your group. You're loving it. It's awesome. Green lights. And then like 6 months later, you wake up and you're like, I am not looking forward to church today. Like I feel the same way right now that I feel before I go to the gym, and I don't like going to the gym. You know you should, but you're just like, ugh. Red light. And you start going, man, am I supposed to be here? Is this the right church? Has something changed about the church? Maybe something, I don't know, man. Like maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe Jesus, maybe it's not really working for me. See, we play red light, green light in the areas of our life that matter most, but Payne is the one calling the shots. Payne is the one. And I'm telling you, until we can learn how to properly interpret pain, we will never develop the perseverance necessary to stay to the end. You see, like there are times in your life when if you're hurting, it is a red light and you should like take a rest, take a breather, go to sleep, take a nap or something. But that's like few and far between. The vast majority of experiences in your life, when you feel pain, it is not a red light. It is the green light to lean in. It's the indication that you should actually keep going, that you should actually keep growing. Like in your relationships, you know you've had that friendship that like at one point was great, then at some point it just started smelling weird. You ever had that? You're like, it used to be awesome when we hung out, but now we hang out and it's like, ugh, what is this? You're like, what is happening? Did I do something to offend you? Did you do something to offend me? Like, why are things different? And you feel that pain? That is the green light, not the red light. That pain is not the red light to just ignore it and walk away. That's the green light to lift up the rock and say, what's really going on here? What did I do? That's the green light to grow. That's the green light to grow in your self-awareness. That's the green light to repair the relationship. The pain is a green light. Professionally, man, if you need to grow professionally, if you're not doing great at your job right now, maybe it means you should go get another job. I don't know. It might just be the green light that you need to grow. You need to skill up. You need to work harder. You need to get some help. You need to ask for some feedback. Like, the pain is not necessarily a red light. It's probably a green light to lean in. And let me tell you, church, it's the same way. When you are starting to feel the pains of it, and it's not all warm and fuzzy, it's not going great, that is not the red light that something's going wrong. That's the green light that's time to lean in. God's doing something in your life. God wants to teach you something. I'm telling you, if this church, if Red Rock, if in the history of Red Rock, the families that have built this thing saw pain as a red light, we would not be here today. All right, some of y'all are new like me. I get it. I've been here like 3 months almost. And seriously, like before the service, I met like nearly 10 people that have been coming since the middle, end of December. Tons of new people. So if you're new, you may not know this. I only know it because I've been like a historian since I got here. I've been trying to like learn everything I can about this place. And the truth is that in the history of Red Rock, there are some families who gave till it hurt and then some. There are some families, and some of them are in the room right now. I mean, I could look around you and see some of the people here who have given till it hurt and then pushed past the pain, and because of their sacrifice, because of the amount that they gave financially, because of the amount they gave of their time, because of the relationships that they gave, because of them willing to get outside their comfort zone, we're sitting here. I'm preaching from here. Like, there's no way it would happen if they saw pain as a red light, but they saw it as a green light to build something special, and something special has been built. It's amazing. Like, I know because this service is like, the later service, and there's probably fewer people that come here than some of our other services, but we're growing like crazy across the board. I mean, right now, when you compare January and February of this year to January and February of last year, this church has grown 25%. That's crazy. I know you're like, I think that's good. Golf clap? I don't know. Just to put it in comparison, that's like fastest growing church in America kind of stuff. Most churches are not growing. Most churches are, we're growing. God's doing something. And it's because of the sacrifice of many people. It's because people didn't see pain as a red light. They saw it as a green light. But let me tell you, if we're going to keep growing and we're going to keep reaching as many people as I believe God has called us to reach, I think he's positioned this church perfectly. It's going to require some people, not just those families who have given over the years, more of us who are new, coming along and saying, all right, it's my turn. It's my turn to give till it hurts. It's my turn to step up and serve. It's my turn to give financially. It's my turn to invest so that the next group of people can do this. Like, let's lock arms with the families that have built this thing to what it is, and let's navigate the future together. And I know you're probably like, okay, but what does that mean for me? Like, what specifically do you want me to do, Petey? I don't know. I don't know what hurts you. I don't know what causes you pain. I mean, that's honestly one of the reasons you'll never hear me teach that you should tithe. First off, tithing was something that was taught in the Old Testament, not the New Testament. That we're no longer under the rule that we should have to give 10% of our income to the local church. We're not under that law anymore. But you'll never hear me say, like, is it a great place to start? Sure, maybe. I don't know. Depends on what hurts you. I think you should give till it hurts and then some. So, like, for some of you, 10% is, like, way beyond what you can give because of your situation. I mean, that's great, man. Like, give till it hurts and then some. But for some of you, 10% is like a drop in the bucket. And you need to give till it hurts and then some. When it comes to your time, when it comes to your energy, I don't know how much you should serve. I don't know how much you should be involved. All I know is you should just give till it hurts. You should figure out that pain, and you should see the pain as a green light and say, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm going to give till it hurts and then some. I'm going to keep going. And if we can all do that collectively together, I'm telling you, a very, very special thing can happen here at Red Rock. But it requires that we go all in. And that's ultimately what I believe is the greatest misconception when it comes to grit and perseverance, is that we think that balance is king. How many of y'all ever said, man, I just need to like kind of balance out my life a little bit. I'm kind of out of balance. You ever felt like that? You ever felt like things just, like my schedule's not right, I need to have balance? See, balance is great in some things in life. You need balance in some things. Like, you should balance the amount of Oreos you eat. That's a balance game, okay? You should not eat a full sleeve. 5 or 6. Solid. You should balance You should balance how much you drink. You should balance how much you eat. You should balance these things, right? Let's balance them. You should balance how much time you spend on Netflix. Like if you are regularly getting that screen that says, still watching, you need to balance, okay? These are good things to keep an eye on, but these are not the things that matter most in life. You know, the things that matter most in life, balance kills grit. See, none of us say, man, I really want to be a good dad or a good mom, but I need to keep it balanced. Not too much. Don't want these kids getting spoiled. You need to recognize when they see a good dad, but they don't need it all the time. Like no one, like that doesn't work. It's not like you're going to be a good spouse some of the time. Like, keep it balanced, you know. I want them to be, no. You go, like in the things in life that matter most, you go all in. The things that matter most, you go all in. I'm telling you, this is never more true when it comes to your faith. I had a transformative experience with this just 6 years ago. 6 years ago, I was mentoring a student who had just given his life to Jesus. And I'm telling you, this student had all the potential in the world. He was created to change the world. He was like, he loved Jesus. He was broken over his sin. He was so thankful and grateful. But he was also already an influencer. Like in his school, people knew him. He was very influential. And he was sharp as a tack. He was a hard worker. He had all the characteristics of a world-changing force for Jesus. And about 6 months into me mentoring him, he said, hey, Petey, I gotta tell you something that's going to be hard. I said, okay. He goes, I got to back off church for a little bit. I said, okay, what's going on? He said, well, my dad talked to me the other day, and he said that he was cool with me coming to church and the whole Jesus thing, but he wanted me to be careful, and he didn't want me to do it too much. He wanted me to be a little more balanced, because he was worried that I'm going to become like one of those religious wackos. He said, like, and what he said is that his dad said that a little bit of Jesus is good, too much will make you weird. And I've heard similar sentiments all my life. He's like, but don't worry, Petey, I'm still here, I'm still committed, I still love Jesus, I'm still going to live for him, it's going to be great. You just probably won't see me at church as often, you probably won't see me at group as often, just, I'll be here like twice a month or so. Okay, I've seen that story play out a million times. And his story followed the same story I've always seen play out. Is that when you don't go all in the areas of your life that matter most, you eventually fall away. You eventually stop being the person you were created to be. And I saw him 6, 7 months after that, and sure enough, coming to church and being at group twice a month turned into once a month, turned into once every couple months. Then he graduated, went to college, and completely abandoned his faith and lived a life that was so far beneath what he was created for, so far beneath what he could have done. And I saw him just a couple years ago, and we were talking about stuff, and I actually just happened to run into him randomly in a place that we did not know. We were both in California. I had no idea he was even there. It was like a God-ordained moment. I said, man, how are you? He was like, yeah, I'm good. It's like, but I've never really learned how to like get back to where I was. It's like that one season that we were together and things, like, man, that was so special, and I felt like God was using me, and I don't know, man, I just never been able to get back there. Like, yeah, because balance kills grit. Balance kills grit. In the things that matter most in life, you got to push your chips all in. You got to become so devoted, so loyal, so all in that even if it hurts, you're in. You're all in. And that's how you develop grit. And that's why I think you should follow Jesus. That's why I think you should follow him. I mean, yes, if you're not sure what you believe about God yet, and you're not sure about the whole like sin and resurrection, all that, you should at least follow Jesus to develop more grit and perseverance. Because you'll never find anyone grittier than Jesus. You'll never find anyone that knows how to push through pain like Jesus did. You'll never find anyone that was so willing, that was so all in, that was so committed to his calling, that no matter what anyone said, no matter what anyone did, no matter how bad it hurt, he never gave up, he never faltered, he never wavered. He's all in. And if you'll start following him, he is the example. He sets the bar for what it looks like to persevere. He sets the bar for what grit looks like. I mean, my man was beaten. My man was humiliated. My man was spit upon, cussed at. It suffered in grueling pain. And he kept going. It's like, yeah, I'll keep going. I'll stretch my arms out on the cross. And I'll suffer and die so that these people that I love so dearly could have forgiveness, and freedom, and the power to live the life that I created for them. But that only comes That power will only come if you'll follow Jesus. And so, man, that's between you and God. I can't force you to do that. I can't make you do that. You got to start talking to God about it. You got to start talking to Jesus about it. And I want to give you some space to do that. So let me pray for you, and then I want you to talk to God about what we've been unpacking today. Jesus, we need you. Every single one of us in the room, we need you. No matter what faith journey we've been on, no matter what our life looks like right now, we need you. We need your perseverance and your endurance. God, I pray that you'd give every single one of us in the room that grit that you embodied. Because, God, we want to stay to the end in the areas of our life that matter most. And especially for those of us that call ourselves followers of you, God, give our church that spirit of grit, of tenacity, and perseverance. God, help us to be the kind of church that never gives up when the pain sets in, but we give till it hurts and then some. But God, we know that we can't muster that up on our own. That's only going to come from you. So we ask you to meet us in these moments right now, Father. Minister to our hearts. Change us from the inside out. We need you.